Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with our lecture. While debugging, we had the issue of when we refresh, it will lose all of the pages. And I actually found the error, and I forgot to put in this line of code right here on line 17 inside of the fetch user. So with that, or 16 here, with that, this is the new updated fetch user. So the one that you have inside of here, make sure that that one is the one that is up to date with this one here. So let me go ahead and select this out. And this one is the correct fetch user, and this will keep your user logged in, and then it doesn't lose any data as well. We'll select change a bit too. So yeah, it was just missing that line of code, and that's why it wasn't rendering anything at all until we refresh everything. So it should work normally now. So that was a slight change. The other thing that we need to work on is the platform providers. And what that is that inside of our application, we'll have another link that will go to the platforms or consoles or whatever we want to call it. And that will show all of the lists of all of the users' consoles. So we'll go ahead and do that part next. And the reason why we are doing it in a provider is that for some of this stuff, it would be a little bit easier if we put it in a global space, and then we can call it wherever it is that we want. And that will be good for, especially if we have places in other pages, or if it's inside of elements within Bootstrap, you still will have access to the functions because you can just grab it from the consumer. So that's why we are putting all of the logic that has to do with the CRUD actions inside of the CRUD actions for the platform. It will all be in the providers here. So that is what we are starting off with for today. And I believe everything for the backend should be done, and we'll double check that. So first things first is that let's go ahead and do our initial stuff for all of the provider stuff. So this one, we need to bring in React as well as use state. And this one is from React. And then we also need to have axials because we'll be making some axials calls. And then we also need to do the use navigate because we'll be navigating to other pages and routes depending on the action it is that we are doing. And that would be from React Router DOM. So here, this is going to have a different name. So we can do export cons. So again, you would name all of your naming conventions as whatever your model name is. So in this case, since the model is going to be platform, so this one is called platform context. And that one would be react.create context. And then here for the consumer, it will be called platform consumer. And then that one is pulling it from the platform context. Dot consumer. So it will follow this naming convention of what it is that you're trying to do. So in our case, we are trying to do our individual stuff for the platform. So that's why everything is namespace like that. And then finally, we also have our last one of platform provider. And this one will be children. And then we'll export default. The platform provider. And then what we are going to be returning is the platform context.provider. like so, and this one will have children. And this one will also have some values that we'll be passing in. So we'll just leave that as is. And that's how you are going to be setting this up. So the next part is to write out the CRUD actions of the stuff that we need for the platform. And then that is, if we reference the sheets, that is following, let me see, yeah, this pattern right here. So it follows all of this pattern here of the add, the update, the index, etc. The only thing is that we're not going to do a use effect in this case. We'll call it as a function to grab all of the items, just because this will always trigger because it's at a global scope. So I don't want to always do this because that might cause an error if I don't have like the user or if I'm not logged in or anything like that. So for the use effect, we're going to change that into a function. And then inside somewhere else, we can then use the use effect and other areas where we know for sure that we have that data. So here, this is going to be const. We are going to call it platforms, then set platform. And then that one will be a use state of just an empty array. And then this is where you would divvy up the tasks if you are working with a group. So one person would work on each of the CRUD actions for platform. So that's will help you out to kind of complete that whole area rather than having you kind of spread out with the other stuff. So make sure that if you are splitting up work, you would do it at this stage here of all of the CRUD actions. So if you are doing the index, how that would look like is that we'll say get all platforms. So get all platforms. That's just the name. You can call it whatever makes sense. And what I need for this is I don't need anything in particular because this one should be a specific route. So let me refresh my routes to see what that would be. Okay, here's the platform. So yeah, so I'm going to the index and I just don't need any other information at this level. So here I can just pass it in like so. And then it will be Axios. And then it'll be a get and then /API/platforms. And that will lead me to the index. So it'll be a get. And then it will be with the quotes, /API/platforms. And that will get me all the platforms from the back end. And then I'll do our promise handling. So with the response coming back, I'm going to do a set platforms of res.data. So that is the array of objects that is coming in. And then we'll do a catch. If there are any errors, we'll just console log them. And yeah, we'll come back to make that a little bit more better. So if I want to use this as well as this array, inside of here, I need to go ahead and pass in platforms, which is the array of all of the platforms. And then this function here of get all platforms. And then that would look like so. And then this is where we would test as we go. I could technically go and create the add, the update, and destroy. But if this doesn't work, then I can't really add or update or delete or anything. So that's why we would test things at each level of the CRUD actions. So we'll go ahead and test this out. So let me select this out of what we have so far. And then we need to do one more thing inside of the index.js for this to really work. So here is that content. I think I sent out the wrong thing. I don't know why, but it sent out the register page. So yeah, don't copy that. That's the wrong one. It's this one. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So yeah, go ahead and use this one here. And then what we are going to do is that anytime that you are creating a new provider, you need to put that here in the index.js for it to have access throughout your whole application. So let's go ahead and do that. And this one will be platform provider. And this is /provider/platform provider. And then order does matter because of the association. So it should be right under auth here. So this one will be platform provider like so. And then that is route wrapping the app. So you'll have multiple levels depending on how many associations it is with that. So you have multiple versions of this here. So later on, when we have our other stuff, we would need to go one more level in for each of those levels. So here is the index.js. And then let's kind of get this up and running. Right now, we don't have a page for us to go. So we'll do that first. We'll go ahead and create a new link here that says like consoles or platforms. And that will list out all of the platforms. So that would be inside of our shared nav bar, main nav bar here. And it will be right here. You can do above or below the profiles, really up to you. I'll do it below. And this one will be called platforms. And then this one is also called platforms as well. So that will give us a link, but that link doesn't go anywhere. So we'll create that route for it to actually do go somewhere. So here's the main nav bar. And then inside of our app.js, we'll create that route. And we'll put it in the protected route because you should be logged in when you have this. So I'll go ahead and import this. I'll create this in a sec, but it will be called platforms from components / platform. Yep, and then / there will be a file in there called platforms. So then here, I'm going to duplicate this route right here, pass in the platform component, then this one will be platform. So here is our app.js. And that will give us a route for that. And then for this to work, we'll go ahead and create that file here. So this one will be called platforms.js. And then go ahead and we'll do a few things. We'll do an import here of the use effect. Let me see. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do use effect. And this is from React. And I'll show you why we need that for a sec. And then we also need to bring in our consumer. So that would be our platform consumer. So platform. Consumer, because anything that you want to have access with the provider, you have to do that through the consumer. And that is from 2 folders out, the providers and then platform providers file. So now we'll go ahead and create our component here. So platforms. And then I'll come back to what we will put in props. And we'll just return, we'll just return all platforms here. We'll just say all platforms. But before we do the export default, we have to do that consumer trick. So it'll be cons connected platform. And then what we are going to do is pass in props. And then with the platform consumer, we are going to go ahead and have the value. And then the platform component, passing it in all of the values and the props. And then we'll export default the connected platform because that's the one with all of the data that we want. So then we have access to everything inside of the consumer. So we have access to platforms and then get all platforms here. So let's bring that into here in the props. So it'll be platforms and get all platforms. So now we'll go ahead and we'll do our use state, our use effect actually. So we'll run this as soon as we land on this page. And we'll go ahead and do this and this. And what we are going to do is called the get all platforms, that function. And that will go ahead and run that logic. And then it will give us all of the platforms that is coming from our database. So let me see if this works. So the link does show up. And then we need to open up a dev tools because we don't have it displayed yet. And then it will be in the platforms component. And yep, there is all of the platforms. Sweet, looks like you did grab it correctly. Awesome. So the next part is that we need to display them. So I'm going to have a list component to do that and just to list them out. And then we'll go through the other CRUD actions after that because we have them all inside of this component, but we still need to display them. So what I am going to do is do a new file. Call this one platform list. And then what I am going to do is going to import that platform list. And I am going to call that component here a platform list and pass in the platforms. Like so. So that way we are passing that through props with the list. Technically, we can do the same thing here within the list as well if you want to do it that way, and that's totally fine. You can do that if you want to. But I'm just doing it here and then passing things around to other components. So now let's go inside of the list after I select this out. So here is the platform component. And then let's go into the list. And And then we'll just render this out of the platform list, pass in the platforms as props. And then, yeah, I'll just do this type of return for now. And then export default this. And then before I move on, let me see if there's anything in React Bootstrap just to make it look a little bit better. There is a list group here. Yeah, that actually works. I like that. So yeah, let's do a list group. What I'm thinking is that these would be list group stuff, and then they're able to click on them, and that will take them to the platforms where it will show all of the stuff and details and everything. So that would be good here. So I'm just going to copy this over. And then I am going to paste that here. But we'll fix it for our case. So now let's go ahead and import that list group from React Bootstrap for it to work. And then let's see. I don't need all of them here. And what I'm doing is that inside of this, each platform will have its own list group items, I guess. So then what it is going to be is that it will be platforms.map, map through each of those, call that P. And then that would be this thing here. But I would want it to say p.name for now, just to display stuff, and then we'll work on displaying like the show afterwards, because that's another CRUD action. So let me see if that works and looks good. Yeah, it looks like it's stuck somewhere. So let's go ahead and do inspect console and see what the error is. Error above the div component, platform list. So there might be something wrong in my platform list. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to do p.name because p itself is a whole object. So yeah, that should be a little bit better. Nice. Oh, nice. Apparently I have a lot of Sega Genesis. I think you should only have 5. I think I ran my C's file multiple times, so that's why I have 10. But you should see some content here as well. And yeah, that looks good. And then the next step is I'll probably have a button somewhere, and that will take you to the show, and that will give you like all of the show CRUD actions afterwards. So let's go ahead and do that part next. So here is the list. Well, actually, I would need to change the list some more, so that would work. So our index action should be good. Now we're working on the show. So what I'm planning to do, there's multiple ways you can do this. You can do it with a link and then take them to another page, or you can display it all on that one page, or you can do like a modal, which is like a pop-up. So I'm wondering if we can have links. I don't want like that. I think I can just group the whole thing in a link, and that would work. So yeah, I might do that part. So if that's the case, let's see what's the best way to do this. Because the only thing that I would need to pass is the ID, and then make another Axios call to go ahead and grab that information of grabbing the one that I need from there. So this one, I would need link from React Router DOM. And I'm going to wrap this inside of a link. And this doesn't go anywhere yet because I haven't created it, but where I want it to go is that it will go to the route of /platforms, platform/ and then p.id. So interpolate the ID here. So what that would give me is that it will go to this URL, and it will also pass in the ID of the platform it is I clicked on. So just to kind of display it here, even though it won't work, each of these will have, if you check in this lower bottom corner, it might be hard to see, they would have their own ID there. And that should take them to its own page. So that's what we'll do here. And again, I'm just winging it at this point. So if we change it later on, we might need to do something else. But for now, we'll just have it as a link. And then the next thing that we'll do is to define where that link will go. So that would be in our app.js. And we'll create a whole new route and a new component. We'll call this platform show. And that would be where our show page is. And that'll be our next CRUD action. So then I'll go ahead and duplicate this, have this be platform show. And then this here, it will be / I want to say ID here, but I might be calling ID in other places. So to be more specific, this is the platform ID. So later on, if I am using ID somewhere else, this one is referencing the platform's ID here. Okay, so here is the app.js. And then now we can go into the show. So then inside of our components, we need to create that component next. So here's our app.js. And then now inside of here, we'll do one more called platform show. And that will lead them here into this component, which is a totally separate page. So it'll be const platform show. We'll come back to that. Return like so, and then export default platform show. And what I would need is that I think I would need another hook to grab the ID, so that way I can grab the rest of the information from the for the platform. So I'm going to import a few things. The first one is called use effect. And then also we'll bring in use state as well, because I'll store all that inside of here locally, inside of this component. And then let's see, yeah, that is from React. And what I need to do is I need to grab the ID somehow. So To see if this does go to this page, I'll just say show here for fun and see if we can get the ID somehow in this component. So then let's go ahead and that should be up to date. I'll open up my dev tools. And this one should have the ID of 1. And it does. But then if we go into our components and then go into our component here, we'll call this one show, platform show. And this one is its own page. It looks like it doesn't have any props. So I am going to have to bring in another hook because the ID is actually inside of the URL right here. So that is the ID. And each of them will have its own unique ID. So then this one, I would need to have the use params. And this one is from React Router DOM. And what we are able to do is that we need to define what param is. So params is this use param. Function. And then what I'm able to do with that is doing an H1 is I can just call params dot platform ID, and hopefully that should give me the platform ID from the URL. So that's a little trick that we can grab the URL, hopefully. So let's refresh this. I'm getting a bunch of errors, so we'll take a look at that in a sec. Oh, not anymore. Sweet. So that looks good. It does give me 1 because the URL is 1 because of the ID. But let's go back to platforms, go to a different one like this one here. That one has a ID of 5. So it looks like that one does give us the right information. So the use params allow you to go, well, it says right here, it allows you to go ahead and grab the current URL paths and whatever you're passing in as your data. In this case, we're passing in platform ID, and where that is defined as this platform ID here, you can grab that with the use params. So that's a little bit something with React Router. Sweet. So with that, let's go ahead and do that inside of our use effect and use state here. And what I am going to do is that I need to double check what platform has real quick. So platform has name, bot, and version, and the user's ID. So let's go back here. And we'll go ahead and create a whole new object called platform. And we'll call this one set platform. And it will be a use state of that object of name, empty string, version, and bot. If you need the user's ID, you should put that here too. But I think for this case, it's fine. We don't need that in this scenario. Platform here. So now I can go ahead and display that down here below, but we need to fill it with actual data. So what I'm going to do is that I'll go ahead and do this when the component mounts with the use effect here. And I'm going to do a Axios call actually to the show route inside of here. And all I need to do is pass in the ID, and I can get the ID with this here. So I would need to do Axios, and I'll look that up real quick. And I want to do a show, which is this one here. I did write a show, yeah. And then it'll be get, and then it'll be slash API slash forms, and I need to pass in the platform's ID of which platform it is I'm showing. So it'll be get backtick slash API slash platforms slash, and then how we are grabbing the ID in this case is params dot platform ID. And that will grab it into from our database. And then what we are going to do is to do res here of set platform of the object to be res.data. So that will have all of the data coming from it there. And then if there are errors, we'll just console log it. Yeah, we'll fix this later, or we'll have like some flash messages or something. But for now, we'll just do this here. So it would be console.log there. So that will go ahead and grab it from the database of the platform, the single platform. And then what we are going to do is display that content here. So this is grabbing the ID. So I can just say like ID, and then the platform would be platform.name. I'm just going to destructure it so it'll be a little bit easier in my case. So I'll grab the name, the version, and also bot, all from platform. So that way I'm not saying platform.name, platform.version every single time. So then here I can just say name, and then we'll do like a H3 of version. And then we'll do another one of like an H5 of bot at our bot. Yeah, I'll just say bot and then bot here. And hopefully that displays something nice. Sweet. So that takes care of the show, but let's make this date a little bit easier read. So let's also import moment. From React moment. And that way we can use this here for this to be more readable. So then it would be moment. And that would be bot. And then the format would be the month, the day, and then the year. There we go. That looks a lot better. So here is the platform show. So that will help us out with our show action. Sweet. So now if we go into our web page, each of these will go ahead and populate depending on which platform it is that you click on. Oh man, it went back to a virtual boy. Crazy. So now we'll go ahead and we are going to do a little button here, and that will go ahead and create our form. And then we're able to create our own platform. So that will take care of the create functionality. And then we can work on the update and the destroy for these items here. So let's do that part next. So first thing that we need to do is to define that function inside of the platform provider. And that will be a const add platform. And this one just needs a platform like so for it to go ahead and create. And it will be an Axios, and I'm guessing it is a post because that is the HTTP verb for it, but we'll double check to be sure. So inside of the routes, I want to do a create here. So yeah, it is a post and it's /API/platforms. So it will be /API/platforms. And then we need to pass in the platform object. Then we'll do our promise handling like so. So I'll do then. Yeah, we can do this in one line actually. With the response coming back, which is the new platform, I am going to do a set platforms to be an array of all of the platforms that were already there. And res.data, which is the new platform that we added into the database. And then console log the error if there are any errors. And then afterwards, we are going to add this here inside of the value. So that way we can grab it later on inside of the consumer of where it is that we need to do that. Sweet. So let me go ahead and let's see. Let me slack this out first and foremost. And we'll go ahead and do this here. And then we'll go back to platforms. And we'll see something real quick. Yeah, that took me out. So that was my Bob2 account. So let's see what's the best way to do this. So I think you can always display the form. That's one way. What we could also do is that we'll have a button, and if we press the button, it will display the form. And if we close it out, then it would no longer display. We can do it that way. We can also have it on a whole nother page, or we can also have it as a modal. So those are our options there. So I think what I'm going to do is that we'll probably combine what we learned from other projects and do like a little button here, and it will be conditional rendering. So if we press it, then it will show the form. If we don't press it, then it will not show the form. So let's go ahead and do that then here and put that button. And we'll use a React button, React Bootstrap button actually. So yeah, there's that. Is there any icon buttons? I think the icons is his own separate library that we might need to import. Yeah, I'll just use one of these ones here. I'll do this light blue one of the info. So I'll just copy that real quick. So we're inside of the platforms. I need to do some use state logic here of if we are adding or not. And then we also need to import the button from Bootstrap. So what I'm going to do is that here, I'll go ahead and create some logic here and it will be conditional rendering. So if we are going to, it's very similar of how we did the edit in our other projects, but in this case is for the add. So we're just doing it for the add form instead of the update form. So here we are going to say adding and set adding equal to use state. And then we'll have it initially as false. So at the beginning, we're not adding. And then what we are going to do here is if we are adding, then we'll display the form. I haven't created the form yet, so we'll just do that in a sec. Else, we are going to display this button. And this button will toggle the set adding to true. So this will, I'll just have it be a plus, and it will have an on click of this function here. But I only want it to trigger set adding when I click on it. So I pass it in with the anonymous function. And then I'll do another one of these, but for the cancel. So that will close out the form. I need to put this one in a fragment. And then this one like so. This one will change it back to false. And this one will say cancel. And then I am going to display the form. I haven't created that form yet. So it will just be import plat. Oh man, this is going to mess up some spelling later on. It'll be platform form. It's like a word tongue twister. From right next door after I am done, I'll create that. And that is what we are passing in. Is this here. And then from props, we should also pass that in. And we can grab that because this level here grabs that, or we can grab it within the platform form itself, and we can just leave it pretty clean here. So it's really up to you of what you want to do. You can pass it through props of the function of a platform, or inside of the platform, you would do this trick and you can grab whatever is inside of the consumer. So yeah, you can do it either way. So let's just, for our sake, for it to be a little bit easier, I am going to call this add platform. I think that's what I called it inside of my provider. Yep, add platform here. So then I am going to pass in that add platform function into this component. So that way we have a way to add the platform. Okay, let me see this. Well, we don't know if it works because I don't have a file yet of the form. So probably give us an error. But here is the platforms plural. And that will help us out. And then what we are going to do is to create that form real quick. So import use state. And then later on, we'll need a use effect for the update. So might as well just bring that in from React. And then we have our cons. And we are doing our platform form, bringing in our add platform function. Turn form here. We'll come back to that. And export default platform form. Okay, and I hope that renders something so I can kind of show you what this does. So yeah, doesn't show anything. I think I need to fill this form out more. So yeah, let's do that. We'll do cons platform. This word is looking super weird on me. And then it will be set platform. This is equal to a use state of an object of the name, the version, and then the date. Or wait, no, the date time is the data type. I was thinking about bot. And that one, I'll just do this like so. And then we'll do our function here. We'll just stub it out. The const handle submit. Pass in the event. And then we'll do e.prevent default. And then pass this function into the form of handle, not handle submit, on submit. That will be this function here. And then let's go ahead. Oh, let's go ahead and use the React forms actually to help us out. And I'll just have it go straight across, but if you want to have it multiple, like multiple rows and columns, you can add in a grid. So let me go ahead and copy this over. Bring this down here and change these fields to the fields I have. So first things first is I need to go ahead and do an import. Looks like I need a form and a button. From React Bootstrap. And I don't need this. That's fine. We can leave that as is. What did I delete? Oh, I delete the control. So let's go ahead and put this handle submit inside of this line of code here. And delete this. And then I don't need the control ID. So this one will be called platform name. And then here is the form controls. This one will be type text because of the data type. And then we need the three things. That would be name, which would be name. And it's just a coincidence that they're both the same thing. It's just the field, that's what that name is the field of name. And the value would be platform inside of our state.name. And the on change would be our event here, and it would be set platform, which is this right here, set platform to be everything that was already there. But now change the name to be e.target.value. So what that means is that we're just changing the name to be whatever the user types in. So that will help with the name there. I don't need this text. Let's do one more of this here for the version. So we'll do version here. That one will also be type text. This one will be version. And then that will also be a version there. I'm going to delete these two and duplicate that one up here now. And this one will be when was the item purchased? And then this one, I hope they have a date, but this one will be bought, and then bought here, and then bought here. So let me see if that works, and then we'll finish off the form real quick and see if it does save it to state. The one that I am worried about is the date one there. So yeah, that is the form. That looks good. Oh, nice. So let me go ahead and do this here and bring in our components, dev tools. And then I am going to go to the form, platform form here. And then right now there's nothing in the state. Then this will be good, this will be good. And it is storing it inside of state. And then this one, let's say that I did it in 2013, sure. And yep, that looks like that is a good format, which is awesome. So that is a format that hopefully is able to be saved in the database. We'll find out shortly. So that looks good. We can move on. And then here I am going to do a add platform, pass in the platform here. And then afterwards, I'll go ahead and do a set platform to clear out the form. Of this here. Okay, so let's see how that works. I'm going to put a BR right here for some line separation, because it's right next to the cancel button. There we go. And I might put BR there too. So yeah, so let me fill this out correctly. I'll do PC version normal. Yeah, I'll do that as a date. And then I'll submit it. And there is my PC. And let's also check something. Let's check the server. I'll scroll all the way down because that's like old stuff. And then let's see if it did add in the database. Oh no, it did add in the front end. Here it is. Here's the insert here. And that looks good for the date format. So yeah, it looks like it did add in the database. And then let's go ahead and go to this. And there we go. So it looks like add is now working. Awesome. So here is the platform form, and it's also working as well as slightly styled. So that will take care of our add functionality. And then when we come back from break, we'll kind of round this up to finish off the update as well as the delete.
Hey, Henry, just before your break, can I make an announcement?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me stop sharing screen.
Oh, is it okay now?
Yep.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. Just want to do a quick update. We will be having a game night tomorrow night. Not anything too crazy. We'll be playing Gartic Phone. It'll start about 5:15 tomorrow. I'll post a link of the Zoom room that we'll be joining. And there also will be a separate link on how to join the game. You just click on that link to join, and you pretty much just need to make up some sort of a nickname for you. You can be cool nickname 5989 if you want to. They give you a random one. But once you create a name, you'll be able to join our game. Gartic Phone is just it's not anything point wise. We don't have prizes or anything like that. We're just gonna get together, have fun. It's kind of like a telephone style game. So what will happen is the first round, you will write a sentence, any sentence that you would like. They have a random sentence for you. Everyone writes a sentence. And you have about, I think, 10, 15, 20 seconds or something like that to figure out a sentence. And then the next round, what will happen is you're going to be given someone's sentence, and you're going to draw that picture. So on the left side, you've got colors you can select. On the right side, you can do a pen, eraser, undo or redo, and also fill in color if you'd like to. And you would draw that picture of a sentence that you received. After you draw that picture will be given to someone else. And then you will be given someone else's picture that they drew from a sentence. Now you can't see the sentence, you can only see the picture that person drew. So then you have to take some time and describe what that picture is in one sentence. That will go on for as many rounds of people that we have, typically about 4 or 5 rounds of that. And at the end, we kind of get a timeline of the original sentence, what the next picture was, the next sentence and picture, and so forth on. It's like I said, it's nothing point wise. We don't really have prizes. We're just going to get together, have some fun, and get away from coding. So if you are able to join and you do have free time, please join Thursday again at 5:15 till about 6. And then we will have a competition next hackathon next Saturday, not this Saturday, during lunch, where we'll have some prizes and actual competition. But this game night was just to get together, have some fun. If you can make it 5:15, please do. Any questions about that or anything going on next week? Cool. I hope to see y'all there. Oh, Danny, do you have a question?
Was the hackathon was, I think you just said it. Was that next Saturday, right?
Correct. It's the 15th.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, sweet.
I don't have my calendar up, but
Yep. Yeah, it is next week, next Saturday.
Perfect.
Sweet. Thank you, guys.
Of course. Yeah, that's all I had. Back over to you, Henry.
Sweet. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back at 7:15. Go ahead, Danny.